Hi, this is video number 130. I want to talk about some things that happened since the last video. First of all, I want to thank Michelle for doing the video a few days ago. That was a very nice video. As I always say, her voice is so calming. She just has a calming spirit about her. And it does me good just to sit and listen to her. Okay, the Penn State game, Saturday night. Awesome game. They started out the season. They didn't look really all that good, but they got to... It was about the fifth game with Minnesota, and they started looking really good. They actually won their division. They played for the championship Saturday night. They beat Wisconsin to take the Big Ten championship, which is that's almost insane. That's like a miracle because they looked pretty bad at the beginning of the season. But so they won the Big Ten championship, going to the Rose Bowl. Awesome stuff. Okay, on Saturday during the day, I went shopping. I wanted to buy some more of those singing Santas, the Santas that I had gotten years ago. They sing and some of them dance and do different kinds of things. So I was looking for those. I couldn't find any. I went to Target and I went to some other stores. I couldn't find anything. So I was looking around in some of the different shops. I saw in the one I went to, it's called Five Below. Everything there was $5 and less. I saw these really cool t-shirts. They were like Santa's coat, Santa's jacket, and I thought it would be kind of cool maybe to buy one of those. I already had a Santa Claus hat here that I got up at Penn State, actually at State College. It has the Penn State emblem on it and that. So I thought, well, I'll get this shirt, take it home. I knew my grandson was coming over in the afternoon, so I thought I'll put it on, see what happens with him. So he came over and we played some games and did some things. And later on, I put the shirt on and the hat, and I said, "Well, why don't you climb up here on my lap on the chair?" And I started talking like Santa Claus, and like he got like really shy, and it's almost like he believed he couldn't see like that. I'm just happy. I'm still happy. It was just so funny. So anyway, he got up on my lap, and I'm talking to him, and like, "What do you want for Christmas?" and this and that. And he would hardly even talk to me. It was hilarious, really. So that happened on Saturday. That was kind of fun. Someone sent me an email a few days ago about my Sudoku video that I did a few videos ago, and they said they're going to start doing Sudoku puzzles. I'll learn how to do Sudoku, which I think is cool. In my withdrawal, I did a lot of puzzles like that: Sudoku, cryptic quotes, word jumbles, and things like that to... It helped me pass time, but it also helped me to realize that if I can do these things, my cognition is still in there somewhere, even though I could not access it very well and I would freak out a lot of times. It's still in there, and I'm still all here. I'm just not quite aligned properly or something. I don't know what the word is exactly. I'm not quite, doing my best here, but it's still there, and at some point it'll come back. So anyway, I learned that, or I did that during my withdrawal, and I think that might be a good thing for people to do, Sudoku puzzles, if you're into logic and that. It's not so much mathematics, it's more logic. They can start with really easy ones. They make real easy ones to start with that don't require a whole lot of cognition and logic, and can work your way up if you want. But it helped me pass time. It helped me to... Like psychologically, it helped me to realize I'm still here. I still got it. I just got to get through this withdrawal here. One thing that I had done too for my cognition, or whatever you want to call it, in my withdrawal was, and I had forgotten about this, when I was seeing my therapist, I remember she kind of wanted me to try to do different kinds of things. And I remember one day going in and telling her I was doing this one certain thing, and she was not real impressed at all. But what it was the teams in the NFL, there are 32 of them, and I never really knew what teams were in what division and divisions in the conferences. So I decided I'm going to memorize those. I'm going to learn what teams are in what division. There are there are eight divisions, okay, and there are 32 teams. So while I was in withdrawal, I actually did learn those, and I can remember I would pace back and forth for hours, and I had them all written down on paper. And I would go over in my head what team was in what division, and I actually did learn them. So, and I know them now. It's something I never knew before. So that was a good thing. It helped me to kind of like exercise my brain, which is something I tried to do the whole way through withdrawal. I think it was more, part of it was fear, because I was afraid I'm going to lose all of this if I don't keep trying to access my cognition somewhat. So yeah, doing Sudoku puzzles, that might be a good thing to for some of you to do if you like logic, pass the time. It has kind of a psychological thing of, if you're into puzzles and that kind of thing. I got an email from someone the other day, I think it was yesterday. They were asking how this person who had the ECT is doing. And I hadn't heard from her in a while, so I sent her an email, and she wrote back this morning, "Hey Don, I'm doing okay. Anxiety and depression is better, and sleep too. Still no real emotion or taste. So much better than before ECT." And there's 2 exclamation points there. So she's doing much better. Early on, the first week and a half, she had pretty much gotten past all of her symptoms. She was doing really well. Her sleep was great. She could taste. She had her emotions back big time. And then over the course of time, a lot of the stuff came back, a lot of the symptoms. Her sleep now is better. She had lost almost all her sleep again. It's back. So this is good news. I can add it to my theory. My theory right now is it's kind of on hold until basically what I'm doing is observing things, different stories that I see and so forth. I have realized that I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor, I can't order anything, I can't prescribe anything for anyone, so I can't really, all I can do is observe. I mean, obviously I'm not getting anyone who is a psychiatrist or who could do certain kinds of things to take an interest in this. I have had no takers, none. None of the people that I thought really would be interested I don't understand it, I don't know. But anyway, she's doing better. This kind of adds to all of the different information that I am compiling and thinking about and observing. So that's a good thing. Okay, let me see what time I have here. It's hard for me to see the time. I have this white shirt on, and okay, it's 7 something. Okay, I got an email from a gentleman named Kevin. Been listening to your videos for about a month now, and find that they help ease my anxiety about the permanency of withdrawal. I have a question in regards to your cog fog. How bad was your cog fog? This is my most crippling symptom, and I have been dealing with this for 8 months now. I also have trouble with reading, writing, talking, and comprehending someone else's speech. It's as if my brain can't process words fast enough to make sense of what is being said. I believe this is a mild to moderate form of aphasia. Have you known anyone else to have aphasia from benzo withdrawal and heal? Okay. Aphasia, I'm not real familiar with that term, but it probably has something to do with like the ability to read and write and your speech and so forth, and it's messed up. I've known plenty of people with these issues. Let me go back to the beginning here. Okay, the cog fog. My cog fog was very bad. Very, very bad. It did not actually clear up to the point where I knew, okay, I'm almost back. It was 22 months. It was 20 months for me. It was 20 months. But in the interim there, I remember times like doing the checkbook and trying to write checks and balance the checkbook was almost impossible, and the cog fog was horrible. I couldn't. That's something I could do in minutes before, and it would take me like hours to even balance the checkbook. I remember when I was 7 months out, and I've talked about this before. We had the roof on our house reshingled, and it was actually one of my cousins and his crew that was doing it. I remember being in the backyard doing something like some kind of gardening thing that I hadn't done for years, and our yard was overrun with forsythia bushes. He came down to talk to me. My cog fog was so bad, I wasn't even sure who he was, and he was talking to me. I have no idea what he was saying. I'm sure it wasn't real complicated, but I think I knew in some way he was my cousin. I'm not sure, but so my cog fog was horrible. Let me see what else about cog fog. I did the puzzles and stuff at least to ensure to me that even though there was this fog, my cognition was still in there. I still had the ability. So yes, I had lots of cog fog. Reading was almost impossible. If it didn't have anything to do with benzo withdrawal, I could not read it. My wife bought me a novel. I forced myself to read some of it, but it was like torture. It was not enjoyable. Even little things like Our Daily Bread, I would read that in the mornings. It's very, very hard to read. It's very simple reading, but I couldn't. It was very, very difficult talking. I didn't talk much. I remember one time when I talked, I was a few months off. I was taking my 66-minute walk, and a guy in a truck pulled up beside me and asked me directions to somewhere. And I actually was able to talk intelligently to him and direct him to the right place, even though in my mind while I was doing this, I was freaking out. So I did still have that ability, but to get it out was very, very hard. It comes back. It will come back. At 20 months, mine came back. And 2 more months after that, my confidence came back that I have my cognition, that I'm not afraid, I'm not depressed, I'm good, I can do whatever I did before. Yeah, comprehending someone else's speech, that was hard, but it got better, and I got it now for sure. It comes back, it really does. Let me see what else. Okay, so I had it, and I know many, many people talk about their cognition is shot. It's very common. It'll come back, Kevin, for sure. Okay, the next one is anonymous. I got this the other morning. This is just to show as an example how quickly the benzo withdrawal or benzo tolerance can happen. It says, hello, I'm a French girl, 34 years old. I was on Serax 30 milligrams for 1 week and just stopped, meaning I guess you cold turkeyed. It has been 2 months I stopped, and I am having imbalance and boat-like feeling 24/7. I do not know what to do. Please write me back. Yeah, 1 week. She was on for 1 week. 30 milligrams of Serax, which is oxazepam, I think is what it is. That's about, I try to always equate things to Valium. I think that's about 15 milligrams of Valium. It's not a tiny dose, but it's not really a huge dose either. But only 1 week, and like she's been off 2 months, and she has that boaty feeling that most of us know about. I had it really bad. So I did write back to her and tell her it's just a matter of time. She only was on a week. Like it should clear up quickly, rather quickly for benzo withdrawal, which can be actually a number of months. But that's just an example of how fast our brains become dependent on go into tolerance from benzos. This next one, you see how much time I have here. I have to move so I can see this. What is it? Okay, it's 13 minutes. I gotta wear something other than a white shirt next time if I'm gonna sit like this. The next one has to do with the subject of being on like antidepressants, SSRIs, other things while you're in withdrawal. Okay, and this first thing I want to read a little bit of someone's success story out of Benzo Buddies. And the individual, the guy who wrote this, said this is where my story is a little different. I'm just going to read, it's like the last paragraph of his story. He said, around June of 2015, I was still suffering greatly. There was hardly a time when my anxiety level was not through the roof. My new psychologist had another idea. He proposed I begin a dose of Paxil to try to offset the symptoms I had from coming off benzos. Yes, I know it sounds stupid, and it does sound stupid. He said it would be easier to wean off Paxil than it was to wean off Klonopin. Although I had been off Klonopin for over a year, I was so desperate that I tried it. And lo and behold, it worked. Around June 2015, through the fall, I worked my way up to about 60 milligrams of Paxil, yes, a large dose, and then began weaning off January 2016. By July, I was completely off, and almost all my symptoms, except for tinnitus and occasional muscle twitching in my legs, are gone. I am 95% healed. No more constant anxiety, no more headaches, no more dread, no more fear, no more constant worry. In fact, I'm now back to doing all the things I once enjoyed before benzos and antidepressants took my life. And yes, for those years of hell, I really believe they took my life, especially the year and a half after coming off Klonopin. Okay, and job, he got a job interview. He talks about all the different things he's doing. Let me see. I'm no longer paralyzed by fear. Coaches his sons. He plays golf. thought he would never enjoy life again. I'm not sure if I would have healed this fast if it were not for the Paxil that I reinstated and slowly tapered off. But as we all know, each person is different, and everyone will heal in different ways. Okay, and that's true. We are all different, and this is an example of that. I know you see in the forums and on the Facebook groups, do not take additional drugs. But sometimes, for whatever reason, we are all different. I have, this story is, it sounds to me like he had been on antidepressants before this whole episode with the withdrawal and that. And I guess they messed him over big time. And somehow he ended up on the Klonopin. But this time around, he took the Paxil while he was in withdrawal. And for some reason, maybe it was coincidence, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe the Paxil actually did something. And I'm hoping that maybe this could somehow lend to my theory in some way. I'm not sure yet how that might be. But, okay, there's a second story. I've talked about, this is about my brother-in-law. Over the last number of years, actually, when I met my wife, before we were married, my brother-in-law, he was like easy go and liked to have a lot of fun and that. He got mono then, and then he was different. He seemed much more fragile. And over the years, he just got worse and worse and worse. He developed a lot of anxiety, fear, sensitivity to different kinds of odors and that. And in the last, probably from like 2010 to early 2015, he was terrible. He was just getting worse and worse and worse. He ended up on Zoloft, which was doing, I think it was making him much, much worse. He couldn't eat. He had these really bizarre, weird ideas of not, they were unreality, like looking in the refrigerator and saying he has no food when in fact it's packed with food, saying he has no clothes when he has a closet full of clothes, things like that. He ended up in, well, 2 different psych hospitals. The second one was the one I was in. He was on a different floor though. They gave him in there Celexa and Zyprexa, okay? And while he was in there, he was starting to improve. I would go in to see him. And he had been down to like, he was under 120 pounds. He was like skin and bones. We were thinking we're going to have to put a G-tube in him or something because he's not eating. He was afraid. He didn't think his body could process food, which is another unreality kind of thing. He was like in another world somehow. So anyway, he got on the Celexa and Zyprexa in the hospital. He came home. He was on them for like a month and a half maybe. He weaned himself off. He's like I am now. He's like so happy and joyous and free. He's done things he hasn't done since way back before he got the mono, which is very, very strange. And for the life of me, I've never seen anything like it, okay? And what happened there, I don't know. Like, he had been on Zoloft, and it was doing him horrible job on him. But then he went into this, whatever it was, and they put him on Celexa and Zyprexa, and something happened. And it's like a miracle, I don't know. But the story that I read earlier about from Benzo Buddies, the Paxil and that, it's almost like, you know, it confirms the notion that yes, we are all different for sure. There's no doubt about that, even to the point of things that, like in my mind, like most of the time when somebody takes an antidepressant while they're in withdrawal, it makes them worse, usually. But obviously that's not always the case. But this kind of goes to like people who are on SSRIs while they're in withdrawal and think they have to get off, okay? In these 2 cases, like my brother-in-law and this gentleman on Benzo Buddies, they got, the Paxil actually seemed to help, but whatever, he got through his benzo withdrawal, he started feeling good and everything, then he weaned off the Paxil. The same with my brother-in-law. He got well from whatever it was that was doing that to him. I still don't know what that was. And he weaned off the Zyprexa and Celexa very rapidly. I thought he would have to be on that forever, but because his twin sister, who is my wife, is taking Zyprexa, she has schizophrenia. And I thought he was he was kind of having the same kinds of thoughts and being the same way she was when many years ago, and times too when we tried to get her off the Zyprexa, all of those symptoms come back. So anyway, this lends to a few things. First of all, there probably is something in both of these stories that I can add to my theory, to maybe modify it, to kind of try to figure out things that could actually work based on something that is reasonable, based on logic, not on just willy-nilly saying to people, take this, that, or the other, because that's not the way to do it. That's not like science. That's not. But these two individuals, and there are others. I mean, I was on Remeron my whole withdrawal. I tried to get off twice while I was in withdrawal. I could not. When my withdrawal was finished, got off the Remeron very easily. That seems to be the case with my brother-in-law, and then this gentleman who posted the success story on Benzo Buddy. So we are all different. We are absolutely all different. There's no one size fits all in this. There really is not in almost every aspect of it. So okay, let me see. That's all I have for today. I'm at 21 minutes. Let me see. I didn't receive any more emails today, so I'll probably wait till I get a few more emails and come back, or something earth-shattering. I read about something that comes up and I think could actually be useful to all of you. I'll come back and say something to you. In the meantime, tonight I'm going out to dinner with my wife, and then we're going to see a play, Elf. We're going to go see Elf at the Hershey Theater. We've been there quite a few times. It's nice. It's a nice theater, nice old theater. Always have a good time when I'm there, except the one time we went to see Annie, I wasn't really into that. That was not my kind of a play, but it was fun just being there and sitting up in the balcony and looking down and watching things. It was relaxing. So that's what I'll be doing tonight. So anyway, I hope you're all having some good time. We got the holidays coming up. I know they can be difficult when you're in withdrawal, for sure. I went through about 3 holiday seasons that were just not really good at all. But when I did start to get well, it was right before the holiday season. It was exceptionally good, I think, because I was starting to feel well, and I knew, okay, we got the holidays coming up here. I can actually function again and be around people and talk. So anyway, that's what I have right now. Take care, and as always, I'm right here, and I will be right here. Bye-bye.